Dr. Huck, may I thank you for calling me to speak in this significant debate here in Westminster Hall this afternoon. I would like to again commend my honourable friend, the member for Don Valley, for calling this debate as we approach the Easter tide period. May I also say what a privilege it is to follow my honourable friend, the member for Gainsborough, who has, throughout his many years in this House, has demonstrated clear Christian leadership in so many areas of life, British life, and I thank him for the service he's given to this House and to our country, and always standing up for the Christian heritage of the United Kingdom. And it is that which I want to refer to today, because the title of this debate is Easter, Christian Culture and Heritage. We can talk about religion, and we have done, and so we should. And the honourable member has rightly made that the focus of his speech today. But the cultural side of this is also vitally important, because not everybody in these islands consider themselves to be Christian. Many have no faith. Many have different faiths. Many are unsure as to where they stand. However, what most people, I believe, stand strongly for is the upholding of the heritage that goes with the Christian faith. The culture, our customs, our way of life, our laws, which are founded on Christian teachings, our constitution, our monarchy, our flag, the great national symbols of this nation, all, as my right honourable friend, the member for Gainsborough, mentioned, have Christian symbols embedded within them. One only needs to look at the crown, Madam Chairman, the crown that His Majesty wears, the coronation only a year ago. On the top of that crown is a cross. It is there for a purpose, because it signifies the foundations of our society. We have an established church, and I'm glad we do, because by having the Church of England as our established church, it actually protects all other religions and denominations to worship freely, a free society, without being persecuted, without being belittled or sidelined or attacked in any way. We have a society that freedom of religion is cherished and protected under a rule of law, and by having an established church, it prevents sectarianism. It prevents different religions vying for power or vying for domination, because everyone accepts that our king is the head of the church and that the Christian faith has made the foundations of our society. So everybody can worship freely under that framework. And that is why I strongly support the Church of England as a religious leadership of this country, but also as part of the culture of our nation. It's right, I believe, that in schools young people are able to sing hymns. It's right that at the start of a meal we say grace. That's part of our heritage as well. And it's right that we celebrate Easter, Christmas, Whitsun, and all the magnificent religious holidays that we officially recognise in this country. And long may that remain so. I would be deeply unhappy if there were ever a question that days like Good Friday or Christmas Day or Whitsun were not formally recognised as public holidays. Good Friday should be a day where people reflect, where there is a solemn feeling and a view that we should consider why we are celebrating Easter and why we are sad on Good Friday itself, the day that Jesus was crucified. I give way to my honourable friend.
I'm struck again in his remarks that describing Christianity as a source and not as an addition or a bolt-on or a replaceable extra in the culture and heritage we have in our country.
Well, my honourable friend is exactly right in what he's saying, and it brings me on to some of the points I would like to make in this debate today, because Christianity is everywhere around us. We may not be a Christian. There are people who are not Christians. But the Christian culture of British society is everywhere. And to remove that would undermine the foundations of our society. One only needs to think back in history. The Vikings themselves, they came to these islands 1,000 years ago, but it was the Christian faith that united England under the banner of King Alfred and then subsequently King Athelstan. It is St. George, Madam Chairman, who is the embodiment of England, and we will be celebrating St. George's Day on the 23rd of April, and I hope very much, as Chairman of the Royal Society of St. George Houses of Parliament branch, hosting an event here in Parliament for all members to celebrate the heritage of England. And that includes honourable friends from other parts of these islands, especially Scotland. Of course, our national anthem is a prayer itself, a prayer to God. And the de facto anthem of England is, of course, Jerusalem, not officially recognised, but it's nevertheless, most people, I think, would consider Jerusalem to be the hymn that most people sing when we celebrate England, English heritage and culture. And of course, our monarch is anointed in Westminster Abbey. And our royal motto translates to God and my right. The Bible transformed the way our civilization has operated, whether through law, governance, art, architecture, and so many other areas of life. And it has shaped the way all Britons, everybody in this country, including those with no religion, think about family, community, and morality. And it was through the lens of the Christian faith that we were the first nation on the planet to not only permanently outlaw slavery, but to enforce this ban worldwide through the West Africa Squadron. We do indeed, Madam Chairman, have a proud history based on our Christian heritage and our Christian customs, and long may they continue, but it hasn't always been quite so straightforward. And I've been a Member of Parliament now for 23 years, but in my second year as a Member of Parliament, there was almost a outrage when some local authorities were suggesting that the hot cross bun should be banned, can you believe? And I remember this happening, I think it was 2003. Political correctness, even then, and I think it's got probably worse today with these things, where anything can offend anybody, and that's dangerous because then we lose our heritage. But I remember in 2002, in fact it was, we had to have an early day motion to defend the hot cross bun, and I'm sorry my honourable friend for South Holland and the Deepings has left, but he was one of those who signed the EDM. If I may just remind the House of what that EDM said, and it said that this House was appalled at the decision by some local authorities in the United Kingdom to ban hot cross buns from schools, believes that hot cross buns to be a splendid Easter tradition that represents the Christian heritage of Britain, and encourages all schools in the United Kingdom to ignore such politically correct advice from local authorities and continue to serve the hot cross buns. I'm delighted that in the tea room only yesterday, I very much enjoyed the hot cross buns that are offered to members of Parliament. But it really, I have to say to my friend, the honourable friend for Don Valley, that little thing only all those years ago, it simply, to me, alarmed me that so many things that are perfectly innocent part of our culture can be undermined by people who seem to want to take away so much of what we hold dear in these islands and our ancestors, our forebears, have fought to defend over so many generations. I give way to my right honourable friend.
Very important point, and I wanted to say it earlier, but it's very important that we should defend the right of people to speak their mind freely about religion. So we should defend the right of Richard Dawkins, atheists, to attack religious people or religions in general. And we've got to also defend the right of religious people to have their space, whether it's Orthodox Jews or devout Muslims or evangelical Christians, to have them, allow them to have their space. And we've also defend the right of people not just to attack religion or religious people in general, but also to criticize particular religions. And there is a sort of dumbing down of debate, and people are afraid increasingly to express their viewpoint. But in a vigorous democracy, there must be this freedom of expression.
My Russian friend is completely correct. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion go hand in hand. So it is, of course, right in a free society that anybody can criticise a religion for the teachings that it espouses, but equally so, we have the right to believe something completely different and be tolerant to one another in a free society. And that is the nature of religion. People do have different opinions. People do have different perspectives. People are raised in different ways. They come from different ancestry. People come from different heritage, different countries, and have other religions. And I defend that. And that is one of the fundamental things that make us British, that we defend freedom of religion, and we should never lose that. But not be afraid to debate these things, not be afraid to have different opinions and to criticise people because they have a different opinion. We can discuss and debate, but we must always allow opinions to be expressed. For if we lose that ability to be able to speak freely and to disagree with each other in a polite and gentlemanly way, then I'm afraid that we lose so much of what our society is about. So long may freedom of speech and freedom of religion go hand in hand together. If I may, Madam Chairman, before I conclude my remarks, I'd just like to say one or two things about my own constituency. I was christened at the Church of St Edward the Confessor, which is the most magnificent church in the centre of Romford Market. I was confirmed in that church. And every year we have magnificent Easter celebrations. On Good Friday there has been a March of Witness, which I have always attended since being the Member of Parliament. In recent times we've had open-air services with all the churches within the town centre, led by St Edward's Church, which is the main church in Romford. And in recent years on Palm Sunday, a donkey has appeared through the market square and into the church for Palm Sunday, as we have gathered for that also very significant day in the Christian calendar. And I would like to pay tribute to the Reverend Father David Simpson. He was the parish priest for the last few years. He's now moved on, and he's now working for the mission to the seafarers. So he's retired 2 weeks ago, and I'd like to pay tribute to his service to the people of Romford in as Vicar of Romford, leading our church and playing such a significant role in the community. And I know honourable and right honourable friends here today will wish him well with his future career as he becomes the pastor to seafarers based in Felixstowe and carries out his mission for the seafarers of our country and indeed the whole world. Yes, of course.
He's been very generous, and I thank him for giving away a second time. But again, it seems to me that in paying tribute rightly to the institutions and to the individuals in his own constituency, doubtless something that every other member here could do as well, he's actually showing again just how much Christianity is a part of the fabric of our society, how it's steeped in these traditions and rituals, many of which we will have forgotten or will have overlooked for their familiarity, but they are there nonetheless, an inherent part of British culture and society.
Indeed, they are part of our way of life, and long may that be the case. And I think as members of Parliament, we understand how important it is in our constituencies to engage with our churches and our faith groups, of all religions, by the way, but especially those that represent the local culture and heritage of our individual constituencies. And I certainly do that in Romford, and I'm very proud to be a member of St Edward the Confessor Church and to pay tribute to the work they have done over many centuries. In fact, Her Majesty the Queen, Her late Majesty the Queen, visited the church in 2003, a year after her Golden Jubilee, and I was very honoured to meet her in Romford on that occasion. And I'd also like to pay tribute to the Church of St Alban Protomartyr and the Reverend Father Roderick Hingley, who has raised hundreds of thousands of pounds to restore the church with magnificent artwork, with Stations of the Cross, magnificent candlesticks, stained glass windows, and refurbishing the church hall and the church in general. What a magnificent leader of our community Father Hingley has been, and his extension by the Church of England to continue in post for a few more years has been most welcome. But I do worry about the divisions that are existing today in the Church of England. I want the Church of England to be strong and to uphold the Christian heritage. And of course, there are different ways of worshipping within the Church of England, but we must ensure that the church is still there for all people and is not allowed to become a divided organisation. We must try to bring the Church of England together, because it is the church that represents the state. The king is the head of the church, and that provides an incredibly important structure to retaining the Christian heritage of our nation. And so, in closing, Madam Chairman, I would like to finally say that when I became a Member of Parliament, I was proud to swear the oath of allegiance to the Queen, and I've done so ever since. At each occasion, I did so only recently to His Majesty the King. I do believe that the importance of having prayers at the start of our proceedings in the House of Commons is very important. I do believe it's vital that we retain those traditions and conventions. And I think we all have a duty to protect people of all faiths in our constituencies, but always remember that the freedom the law of this country affords us means that freedom of religion is there for everyone to cherish. And that is the nature of the United Kingdom. It is a foundation of the British Isles, of all parts of the British Isles, and long may all members of this House defend that heritage.